On today's show,
girls flag football, a number of schools participating in girls flag, a big push from the Kansas City Chiefs, from the National Football League, from Nike. So certainly we'd love to see girls flag football.
Welcome into the first ever Kansas Sports Chatter Show. My name is Cole Rife, and I'm extremely excited to bring this show and this project to you. I've been a radio broadcaster for a number of years since graduating college with a media studies degree, and for so many years I had an extreme passion for play-by-play broadcasting, and I still do. But while announcing games, I developed another passion, and that's covering high school sports. And for the last couple of years, I've had this dream, this vision of creating a show that does just that, discussing high school athletics. So here we are. Now, this show will lean heavily on the entertainment side. By no means am I here to put out any strong opinions or hot takes. I want this show to be less about me and more about our guests. So outside of today's extremely long introduction, because it's our opening show, we'll typically jump right into it and zip to those guests that you are here to watch or listen to. Now, there are some limitations, but I want to represent as much of this state as possible with this show. So it's a work in progress, but I promise I will continue to broaden my reach with contacts as we go along. Before we get started, I do want to say thank you to all the people that I reached out to over the last couple of months that have helped me put this show together. They carved out time to do the interviews or to help me schedule the interviews for a show that didn't even exist when I reached out to them. Thank you. I also want to say thank you to my wife. She has been nothing but supportive as I pursue a new dream. Love you, honey. All right, let's get to it. We got a big-time list of guests for our opening show today. As the big three, we'll have Derek Tuttle, Suttyn Harris, and Arley Morrell. Scott Paske with KSHSAA Covered will have a great story of a recently inducted KSHSAA Hall of Famer. Zach Baird of Hoisington will join us for a quality time interview. Bill Faflick, the KSHSAA Executive Director, gets us started for a new season. Ben Mitchum at a Prep Redzone, Kansas, will talk football recruiting in the Wheat States. And Elinor Engel, a former Shawnee Mission Northwest Cougar, now Wichita State for volleyball, will be with us for our next level talents. Let's get to it. Our big three question. 3 guests, same question. Here's the big three. It is today's Big Three question with Derek Tuttle, head coach of the Andover Central High School football team. Coach Tuttle, what's your favorite highlight you've had so far in your time at Andover Central?
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. Probably the best one is the most recent time we were on the field, obviously last fall when we won the 2024 4A state championship. Just really special moment for our kids and our coaching staff and our community. Just to bring it all together, and historically really cool event of something that our town and our school's been trying to achieve for a number of years. So really special moment, and really excited for how that moment happened and how our kids are able to help us just get us over the top there to get that championship.
Any specific plays that stood out to you like, whoa, that was a big play in the game?
Yeah, there's probably too many to mention. Some of the big ones that are probably most obvious would be like the big runs that Maddox Archibald had. He just went off at a really great day rushing the football and had the guys up front blocking for him. Our offensive line just did an outstanding job. Defensively, we made some really big plays on some really good passes by the Miege quarterback, and had some knockdown passes. We had a couple sacks and things like that. So those plays really going to stand out in my mind. And even, a couple receptions by some of our top receivers, Jace Adler and Brant Stupka, as well as just how Jace Jefferson kind of led us down the stretch, and scoring that touchdown right before halftime was really big for us as far as momentum swing to tie up the game. And Jace just kind of leading us through that drive was really special to punch it in the end zone on a scramble play.
How many times have you watched some of those replays of that championship game?
Well, we got to enjoy it. The coaches kind of looked at the film, broke down entered the plays that we ran, which we always do at the end of the season. And then most of us, or probably all of us, sat down and watched the replay of the game with the commentators on it, which was really cool that Keisha provided. Then after that, we kind of had to move on because it's fast and furious in high school football. You get to the next semester and, everybody's already looking to the next season and trying to build off of that and seeing where the pieces need to go for the next season.
Today's big three question was Suttyn Harris, Inman volleyball player. All right, Suttyn, today's question, what's your favorite highlight so far that you've had in your high school career?
My favorite highlight is from freshman year, sub-state volleyball. We're playing at Remington, and we're in the championship playing against Sedgwick. They're ranked number 1 all year, haven't lost a game. Everyone kind of expected them to win. And then we go with my team, and we beat them, and we're going to state. I think that was just it was a big part for our community and our team. It was such a cool experience.
What was your feeling going into that match? What were you feeling prior to that one?
Honestly, I was nervous, but I knew that we could beat them. I mean, we've taken them to 3 every time we played them. They're in our league, kind of a little rivalry there. But I just knew we were going to win. I just felt it.
Any individual plays that stood out, whether it's you or a teammate, they're like, wow, that was a really big play?
Our setter just feeding us all the ball. And then our other middle that year, Chloe Schmidt, she graduated. She was a junior that year. But big players in that game really stepped up to lead us.
How many times have you rewatched that match or any highlights from that match?
Lots of times, whenever I get bored, to be honest.
What was your initial reaction after that one?
Honestly, it was let's go. We hadn't made it to state in a long time, and everyone kind of doubted us, and to prove ourselves and to prove what we had done that season it meant the world to us.
It's today's big three question with Arley Morrell from Pratt High School. Arley, what's your favorite highlight you've had so far in your high school career?
I would say our chaparral first play of the game. We put me out on the line and then just run a straight vert and, catch it for touchdown to start the game. I believe that set the tone for us and how that game went. And we ended up just kicking their butt. So
did you have a good idea that play was going to have success when you guys got it called?
Oh yeah. Every time that we run that play, I know I'm going to get that ball and then, we're just going to run with it. So
do you ever go to coach and say, hey, this play is really successful, maybe we should run it some more?
Sometimes, yes. Whenever we're at the line of scrimmage, I talk to our quarterback. If he needs to check, we'll check. Because he doesn't always see what I can see on the line, and it really helps being able to have him listen and adjust. So,
what was your initial reaction after that play?
I was just really hyped up. I was ready to go for the rest of the game. We came out, we got the kickoff, brought it to the 50, and then just took it to the house from there. I was super pumped, and we went on defense and just immediately hit that quarterback right away. So,
how many times have you watched that play on replay?
For it being on my pinned on Twitter, I've seen it probably 150 times.
That's the big three. Thanks to Andover Central's Derek Tuttle, also Inman's Suttyn Harris, and Pratt's Arley Morrell for answering today's question. We have our first break of the show. When we come back, Scott Paske will join us from KSHSAA Covered. This is Kansas Sports Chatter.
The key to a great game is sportsmanship. It is essential to show respect to your opponents, teammates, coaches, and yourself. Playing hard, being fair, and having fun are what sportsmanship is all about. Whether you win or lose, congratulate your team and opponents for their hard work and dedication. Good sportsmanship is about demonstrating integrity, fairness, and respect. Let's show the world what true sportsmanship is all about this season.
Kansas Sports Chatter is not your ordinary sports show. It's fast-paced, has tons of interviews, and is a celebration of all the successes that high school athletics bring us. Hear from statewide guests, the coaches, the players, officials, media personalities, and all the recognizable big names that make high school athletics so great in Kansas. Kansas Sports Chatter, where sports and entertainment collide. Check it out on YouTube or anywhere you download your podcasts. Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. This segment we refer to as Story Time with KSHSAA Covered. We get to sit down with one of the staff writers with the Kansas State High School Activity Association. And joining us today is going to be Scott Paske, one of the staff writers. Scott, appreciate you jumping on. Love the coverage that you guys provide. Man, you were telling me this is year 5. I mean, you're going into year 5 of just telling stories across the state. Pretty exciting.
Yeah. I guess we're officially grad students at what we're doing here, but they're trying to figure it. But I think we're still trying to figure it out a little bit. But it's been a great venture for us. It's been fun to reconnect with covering high schools, which is something I did kind of in my past journalist life a little bit, and been working with a great crew. With Brent Maycock up in Topeka and Ricky Peterson out at Hayes that have been kind of stalwarts with me here for the first 4 years, and we've really enjoyed what we've done. It's kind of given us an opportunity to kind of handpick the great games to go cover, but I think what we've also done is found a lot of great stories. Through with our partnership with Capital Federal, we've done Student of the Week stories, which has been great to. Really, there's so many great kids out there in Kansas, not just athletes, but kids that are doing things that in KSHSAA sponsored activities, debate, music, things like that we've been able to connect with and kind of unearth their stories. And that's been fun too.
Well, this summer you were able to really unfold the KSHSAA Hall of Fame inductees that were announced earlier last spring or last winter, but getting the summer stories out there, those are a lot of fun to watch. I know you covered Dave Hawley. I mean, as far as state championships go at Wichita Collegiate, I don't think there's anybody better.
Yeah, I mean, if you're plugged in even remotely to high school tennis in Kansas, the name Dave Hawley is just synonymous with excellence, and it was kind of one of those things when he's retired with around quotation marks. He's still teaching at the middle school level at collegiate and coaching their middle school tennis program. But what he did with their high school girls and boys programs, just astounding. 59 team championships between the two teams and 82 individual or either singles or doubles champions. Just astounding. And it's kind of one of those things where I've had a chance, prior to when Dave retired a couple of years ago, to sit down with him, and then again in his quote unquote this version of retirement to talk with him, and he's got a well documented story, but really kind of just interesting, and I think he would tell you there's a lot of obviously set up for success at collegiate. It's a kind of a sport, a private school with resources to really succeed. But he did such a great job at taking those kids and developing and still doing it. That's really, in his retirement right now, he's coaching the middle school, and I think I had over 80 kids between boys and girls at the middle school level. So not that Simon Norman, his successor, needed a lot of help to keep the thing going, but it's almost crazy to think. I mean, it's kind of like sending Bill Snyder to Manhattan High to be the pipeline provider for Chris Kleiman, or Bill Self to Lawrence High to do it for whoever succeeds him. But just one of those things that Dave's such a great guy, loves the sport of tennis, and I think through talking with him, I think kind of one of the fun stories is that when he interviewed in the late 70s at collegiate, he really came out of the interview thinking there's no way they're going to hire me here. He was trying to get, his wife's from Bueller, and they were trying to get closer to her hometown. And he said he came out of that interview, his wife picked him up, and he told her to, look in the rearview mirror, because you're never going to see this place again. And so that's, kind of these are the little vignettes or things that when you sit down with these Hall of Fame, inductees, to find out those little stories about kind of, because that's what I'm fascinated with. I grew up reading biographies and wondering, okay, how did this great person get here, or how did this success story arrive where he's at? And finding out those things, just that Dave Hawley thought there's no way this place is going to hire me. Not only did they hire him, they hired one of the best high school tennis coaches in the state, or in the country,
right?
Who's just achieved amazing things for sure.
Hey, Scott, before we let you go, fall previews. I know you guys are getting busy. Another season upon us. What can people expect before the season starts?
Yeah, we're kind of digging into it. At the taping of this, we'll be really when you unveil this, we'll be in the middle of doing players to watch from across the state. Top returning underclassmen from all reaches of the state, all corners of the state. We'll have sports previews for girls golf, girls tennis, boys soccer, volleyball, cross country, and football, gymnastics. So a lot going on, a lot that'll keep us busy, kind of with the rhythm of the high school calendar.
Scott, appreciate it. Great knowledge, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Cole. I enjoyed it. Best of luck with Kansas Sports Chatter.
That's Scott Paske, the staff writer, one of the staff writers for KSHSAA Covered, and stay with us. We'll have our quality time interview next.
Whether it's a Friday night football game or a Saturday Scholars Bowl tournament, there are many people behind the scenes to make these activities function. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who make these events happen for our students. Without school administrators, event workers, custodians, officials, transportation personnel, and office staff, these events would not be possible. Your hard work and dedication allow students throughout the state to participate in the activities that they love.
Welcome back on Kansas Sports Chatter. It's time now for our quality time interview, an opportunity where we just get to spend a little bit more time with our next guest. And our very first quality time interview is none other than Hoisington football head coach Zach Baird. Zach, how's it going, man? Appreciate you coming on.
Doing good, man. It's good to see you, and thanks for having me.
Well, when I was trying to figure out, I knew when I launched this show that I wanted you to be one of my first guests on the show. So, but then I was also trying to figure out, okay, now what do I want to talk about? What specific topic did I want to talk about? And a lot of stories came up, and we could probably go different directions. But the one thing I wanted to discuss on today was more so, since you serve as primary offensive coordinator along with your head coaching duties there at Hoisington, was just your style of offense, specifically with your flex bone and your triple option offense. And I know over the years, especially over the last 3 or 4, things have kind of morphed and you've adapted to your personnel. But go back to the beginning when you took over, now going into your 12th season. But you go back to the beginning, what made you decide? What was that thought process? Okay, hey, we're going to start implementing the triple option, or specifically the flex bone offense.
It was really easy. I took over after being a DC for 3 years, and my first thought was, who could I get in touch with that does something that's been really successful? And at that time, Randy Dreiling was at Hutch, and obviously everybody knows how successful he was there. So I just kind of went through some people I knew. Dustin Damel played here at Hoisington, and he had a connection to Randy Dreiling. So used that connection and got a chance to meet Coach Dreiling, and Coach was gracious enough to sit down with me and visit with me. And, other than that, I didn't know anything about the flex bone other than that's what they did. And they were really successful with it. So that's how that came about. And that's why we started running it.
When you initially reached out to Randy, what was that first conversation like? Do you remember that first exchange between you and Randy?
Absolutely. So I didn't talk to him on the phone. I met him in person at his house in Hutch. And I'm a big high school football guy. I think it's fantastic. I love it. And so meeting Coach Dreiling at his shack, as he called it, was a great experience. And I learned so much. And after 10 minutes of talking about the flex, and inside veer was the first thing we talked about. I was like, all right, Coach, what about midline? And Coach had another 8 hours left on inside veer that he was going to talk to me about. And so that was my first eye-opening experience. I have no idea what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. I just got to sit and learn as much as I possibly can. And I did. Coach Dreiling, everything we do offensively is his system. And so now, like you said, we've kind of changed a few things here and there with our personnel. But for the most part, it's still what Coach Dreiling taught at Hutch. And super thankful that he helped us out.
Any specific advice that stands out? Obviously, he went through a lot, like you mentioned, but were there any really fine details that you remember that, that Randy kind of pitched to you? They're like, okay, yeah, that's going to stick.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I got was how much attention to detail he had and what they did. And so I think one of the things that makes us, it's helped us be successful in the flex is our ability to coach little things. And the little things really do make a big difference. And so that out of that conversation, that was one of the biggest things I got from Coach Dreiling was the attention to detail. I mean, like I said, after 10 minutes, I thought, okay, let's move on. And we probably covered inside veer for 8 hours. And so I think that helps our guys, the ability to coach little things. And that just allows us to be efficient and successful at what we do.
You mentioned timing and blocking, two areas I want to touch on. Start with timing. Like, how big is that, especially in the backfield? So, like, what do you preach to your players as far if you're a backfield player? Is it a certain number of steps, before you take that snap, or like where do you start with that timing?
Yeah, the first thing we talk to them about is everybody, all 11 guys offensively got to be ready to sprint. And so if it's slow, it's not good because you have bad offensive football at the beginning of years, and then you have bad flex offensive football. And the bad flex offensive football is tough to watch. So once we get people as elementary as it sounds, I mean, we've got to play fast. And as far as steps, like, how you teach motion and their path is big for us. But the biggest thing we preach to our backfield guys is playing fast, and whether it's motion, whether it's snap of the ball. Obviously footwork's going to come into play at all positions, your quarterback, your slots, your B-back. But the biggest thing is the first thing we emphasize is we've got to be fast across the board, especially in the backfield.
Let's go with inside veer for the blocking technique of that. Where do you start with that offensive line? What's key in executing inside veer with the flex?
Okay, so the first thing they got to know is who the read key is. So they've got to be students a little bit, and they got to understand, we're going to read the first guy 4 eye and out. And, from there, we try to marry to a little bit like inside zone would be in a way. And so a constraint play for us for inside veer is going to be zone dive. And so other than play side tackle, inside veer, we're going to inside veer release it and try to get skinny. Whereas if we go zone dive, we're power veer releasing that play side tackle, which it's similar, but it's not. But I would say that's the biggest thing. And then understanding for our B-back who our action key is. And so we don't want to double people up front. We will at times, but we don't really want to. And so let's say we see a good 3-tech and he's going to be our action key. We're still going to go ahead and our guard's going to right zone that if we're running inside veer to the right. And then our B-back has to make that guard right. So if his action key shows up a little bit wider, we're going to stick our foot in the ground and change direction. And so we try to stay away from doubles as much as possible up front.
You've had a lot of really good running backs and quarterbacks that have made that offense extremely successful, and that helps. But is there a specific type that you've noticed? And whether you want to start with the B-back or the, one of your slot backs or your wing backs, is there a specific type that you've noticed that, hey, these guys are really effective in this style of offense?
I'm going to kind of steal something from Coach Dreiling here, and this is one of the things I asked him. So I don't know what I'm doing as a young coach, and especially as a young OC. So I was like, Coach, what kind of defenses really give you guys trouble? And he kind of looked at me and just said, big fast ones. And I thought, okay, that makes sense. And so for my backs, big fast ones are really good for us, and we've been blessed. I think we've had so many good running backs over the years, and probably the best is probably Wyatt Pettigo, because I think he probably had the best combination of size and speed. But we've had so many good ones, and obviously we know we're really lucky to have those guys. And if we don't have those type of guys, we're not as successful. But I think if you're gonna, it's just different. Like our slots are completely different from our Bs. Every once in a while you get a kid like Wyatt who could play any position you wanted him to, but usually your slots are a little bit smaller, and we kind of have two different slots. Our A or L, however you want to call it, is going to be a little bit smaller, going to be more of our scat back type kid, and then our C back or our R is going to be he's going to probably be a little bit bigger, a little bit more physical, catches the ball really well, and then our B you kind of do it a couple different ways, but I'd like our B to be a kid that is probably one of our top 3 athletes on our team. He's going to get him the majority of the carries, and he's got to be a kid that's physical, So if I'm building a B-back, like, man, we've had some really good ones. But, obviously Hunter Hanslick was excellent at it. Legend Robinson had a really good senior year after playing O-line the year before. It's got to have a burst. Taryn Kraft did a really good job of playing fast out of his stance. And we just had middle school camp just the other day. And that's kind of what we're talking to those young middle school kids about that are playing B-back. Like, guys, it's got to be an absolute sprint. And it's hard because sometimes it's really muddy, and there's trash there. Sure. But you've got to be committed because that mesh, if the mesh is screwed up, you're going to put the ball on the ground. And so it's just one of those things where they've got to be okay with running full speed into trash. And sometimes it's real clear and it's beautiful and it works that way. But the majority of the time it's not. And I think that's probably what made Wyatt so good was his ability to be dead speed in trash and just find a crease and hit it. And if you do that, a lot of times you'll crease it and then all of a sudden you're in space. And, so if I was looking for like a prototypical B-back, like I want a big, strong kid who necessarily may not be the fastest guy on the field, but 0 to 5 yards or 0 to 10 yards is tough to beat. So that's kind of what we're looking at. And, Preston Merlew did a little bit last year. He's going to do it a lot this year. I think Preston's done a really good job this off season about just becoming more explosive, a little bit quicker. Like I said, you may not have to be the fastest guy in the world, but you've got to be quick and explosive.
Zach, appreciate the time. Looking forward to Friday nights at Elton Brown here in Enter Sandman coming out there. Okay.
There we go. Cole, appreciate it, man. Won't be the same without you, but I know you'll be following, man. Appreciate it, though.
Referees and game officials are a vital part of high school athletics. These men and women take time out of their lives to ensure a safe and fair environment for student athletes. As you attend sporting events this year, keep in mind the hard work and dedication of the officials. Respecting officials and authority figures is one of the most valuable lessons that we can teach our students. The Kansas State High School Activities Association and the Student Advisory Team would like to thank all those who take the time to officiate our competitions.
Kansas Sports Chatter is here to serve all those who love high school athletics in the Wheat State. Hear from statewide guests, including coaches, players, administrators, media members, and many other Kansas favorites. Jam-packed shows can be watched on YouTube and listened to wherever you go for your podcasts. There's more to high school athletics than just the X's and O's. Come find that more by listening or watching Kansas Sports Chatter. Moving right along on a Kansas Sports Chatter here as we dive into our next segment, and that is KSHSAA Info. And to help us out with this segment, we bring in the Kansas State Activities Association Director, the Executive Director, Bill Faflick, KSHSAA Director. I appreciate you joining the show, Bill.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to our chat.
Well, I think anytime, especially when you have that season of activities and sports right on the horizon, that brings excitement. There's going to be obviously changes with a number of things that you guys do already at KSHSAA, but especially more excitement when you're bringing in something new. Talk about esports. This is a pretty big development for KSHSAA.
We're very excited to have another activity to support teaching and learning for Kansas kids. It's esports, and it will be our inaugural season. Our board of directors approved that this past year. Jeremy Holliday, as our administrator, will lead that charge. Both Jeremy and myself have attended some state championship tournaments. I was down in Oklahoma. He was over in Arkansas, and we've been studying this for a number of years. And I believe we're going to have a great first year for Kansas kids.
So you mentioned studying it for a number of years. What was that final decision that made you guys want to pull the trigger and say, okay, yeah, we're ready for esports?
Well, we got to that level of participation that is requisite. We have to have 24 schools. We felt like we were close to that, but we didn't have the platform, and we really needed to study which platform, which partner we would use. And we found out that through working with our member schools and looking at the options that were out there, that our best partner would be Play Versus. They are in a number of our schools already. Most importantly, they also merged with another partner that makes the transition very seamless for both Northeast and South Central Kansas, both of which have large pockets of schools participating.
When you look at esports and then you're starting to talk about, obviously there's probably developments of maybe other things that are in the talks. Any other sports, I guess, that KSHSAA is looking into?
Well, we're an association of member schools, so our member schools tell us what they would like to see and what they'd like to have for competition. The two other activities that seem to be most currently discussed are girls flag football. A number of schools participating in girls flag, a big push from the Kansas City Chiefs, from the National Football League, from Nike. So certainly we'd love to see girls flag football if that's what our membership wants. And on the boys' side, boys volleyball has picked up some interest, especially in Northeast Kansas.
So you mentioned having to have a number of schools before you pull that trigger. What other studies do you do just to make sure like these sports will make sense for Kansas?
Well, we make sense that it's what our kids want. So we survey member schools. We talk to our student advisory team. We talk to our school leaders. We go through a series of meetings across the state in October. We pose that question of whether or not they would like to have a certain rule, a certain protocol, in this case, a specific activity added. That was supported. Then based upon that input, we wrote the rule that would identify the season of sport, the number of competitions, and the parameters under which this championship would operate. Now, one of the foundational concepts for the Activities Association is that we provide a template, a fair foundation or fair playing rules, so that all schools competing for that championship at the end of the year will have similar regular season experiences.
Well, I think when you guys released the information earlier this summer about the new host sites for the state basketball tournaments, that was big news. I think everyone thought that was a really big hit for the way football operated this past year with multiple championships in one site. That's a big step, I think, for a lot of folks for basketball.
Absolutely. Our membership has asked us to put championships together, very similar to what we do with state track. What takes place in a number of our activities cross country, where we have multiple classes competing at the same venue on the same day for championships in that activity. Wrestling's had to go away from that just simply because of the enormous growth of girls wrestling. But we've always been working on basketball. Basketball is the most challenging one to do because there are 14 championship tournaments that are conducted at the exact same time in that exact same week. So being able to conduct 7 boys tournaments and 7 girls tournaments all within a 4-day window was a challenge. But our administrative team, led by Kyle Doporalski as the basketball administrator, put a very good plan together. We're looking forward to quarterfinals being played on Tuesday or Wednesday on a geographically proximate basis. The home team will be closest to home whenever possible in a neutral site, a college site most often, or a community site. And then we'll have our traditional championship semifinals and finals with 2 classes at one venue.
Bill, appreciate the insight. I know you guys are busy over there at KSHSAA, and we'll let you get back at it.
Well, thanks so much. Look forward to visiting with you. Thank you for supporting high school sports. We've got great kids in Kansas schools. I love the fact that you're telling the story.
That's Bill Faflick, the Kansas State High School Activity Association Executive Director. Make sure you stay abreast of everything going on with Kansas Sports Chatter by subscribing on YouTube. Are you looking for a new way to promote your business or organization? Do you want to get your message out to a statewide audience that loves high school sports in both urban and rural areas? Kansas Sports Chatter has advertising opportunities from commercials, sponsoring specific guests, product placements, and even a premier sponsorship. Let Kansas Sports Chatter promote your brand. Contact ksportschatter@gmail.com for more advertising details. That's ksportschatter@gmail.com. Come join the chatter. It's time now for our football chatter here on Kansas Sports Chatter. And to help us out with that, we bring in Ben Mitchum with Prep Redzone Kansas. Ben, how's it going today?
It's going great. Thank you for having me on today.
Hey, thanks for jumping on. I love the work that you guys do at Prep Redzone for not only the state of Kansas, but the entire country, but specifically what you guys are doing for the state of Kansas. Really cool. What are some of the things you're working on right now?
Well, on the Kansas Prep Redzone aspect, of course, I'm mostly in charge of the western half of the state and all of 8-man across the state. it's, I mean, definitely something that is very not covered as often. And I feel it's a real privilege to be able to get the publicity out there for the kids, especially from the smaller schools. But anytime you can get the kids more action, not only to the general public, but namely the colleges, that's really important to me.
Let's jump right into it. Some of the players that are standing out as we get ready for the next football season, Ben. I mean, you talk about the big guys, maybe some of the guys that don't get as much love, but man, there are a lot of good O-linemen. Let's start with the centers. It seems like there's an incredible amount of really good centers throughout the area.
Yes, I mean, actually, just in the central part of the state that we'll probably pretty much focus on. And there with this interview, there's like 6 centers that really stand out. Of course, the top one is Gus Kosar from Hayes, who stands about like 6'3", 285 pounds, and already holds many Division I offers. He will be a junior this coming season, so he still has 2 more seasons. But there's some other really quality center prospects, much like Carter Brown from Great Bend, who's about 6 foot, 285 pounds. Leighton Hoffman from Hoisington, that you have covered plenty. He stands about 6'2", 285. You also have Trace Tudor from Ellenwood, who's about 6'4", 285, also a really good baseball player. And just right off my head, just trying to remember if there's any other. Actually, there's from Victoria, who's also an excellent defensive tackle, and Kyle Husser. He stands about 6'3", about 275. So every one of these kids have really good sizes that the colleges look for.
What about on the defensive side? Who are some of the guys we need to look out for in Central Kansas?
Well, I mean, there's a pretty good crop of defensive tackles. I mean, the first and foremost, as a defensive tackles, you have like Kyler Green from Larned, who stands like 6'6", 260. He also is an offensive tackle. He actually even plays defensive end at times for the Indians. You have Tanner Geis from Hayes, who's about 6'2", 250. Really moves really well. Of course, he plays offensive guard, but namely his main position is defensive tackle. And like Landon Daniels from Central Plains, he's about 6 foot, 240. And then, of course, finally, you have someone like Braden Gilmore from TMP, who's another kid like 6 foot, 250, that also is a very quality center prospect.
Is it kind of turning into a big man's area? I mean, you look at some of the skill players, they're really good too, but it almost feels like we have more on the other side.
Yeah, right now, for the next couple of years, for sure, it's very heavily offensive, defensive linemen, defensive ends. I mean, like with the defensive end, of course, first and foremost, you'll see him plenty this season. Brody Faunensteel coming over from Russell. He stands about 6'4", 235 pounds. Has already picked up, just like Kosar, he's already picked up offers from like KU, Illinois, has very heavy interest from the likes of Kansas State, Wisconsin, among others. So he, much like Kosar, he still has another year after this coming season as well. But other defensive ends that really stand out, like Alex Loving from Hayes, who's picked up NEIA offers. He's like 6'2", 225. Ian Strobel, he's another defensive end that used to be the teammate of Faunensteel. And he's one of those kids that's kind of a hybrid defensive end linebacker, about 6'2", 195. So he still needs to fill out, but he's very talented, which kind of actually is interesting because Brody goes from Russell to Hoisington, where he had Strobel. Hoisington has another defensive end that's pretty good, and Preston Merlaw, and he's about 6 foot, 190, more of a running back, but he had a really good season this past year as well. Actually, there actually is one more defensive end. He's actually from the Hutchinson area and Trinity. His parents were from Ellenwood, where I'm from Ellenwood originally, and the Victoria area. And Isaac Hammersmith, about 6'4", 225, excellent track athlete. At that size, he's a 6'8" high jumper, runs in a little over 11 seconds in the 100-meter dash, basically close to a 23-foot long jumper. So he's a very explosive athlete.
Ben, appreciate the time. Keep up the good work.
Welcome. Thank you.
That's Ben Mitchum with Kansas Prep Redzone. That'll do it for our football chatter. Next Level Talents is next.
Being hydrated is essential for performing at your best. Remember to drink plenty of water before, during, and after practice or games. Fuel your body with hydration, balanced meals, and rest to recover and stay fit. Staying healthy means you maintain your strength and continue performing at your best. Hydrate your way to success.
Welcome back to Kansas Sports Chatter. This is Next Level Talent, a segment where we get to talk to former Kansas high school athletes that are now competing at a college or university in the state of Kansas. And today we go to Wichita State University to talk with volleyball athlete Elinor Engel from Shawnee, Kansas, and out of Shawnee Mission Northwest. Hey, thanks for joining the show, Elinor.
Of course.
For you, I mean, what's it like being in Kansas? I know you didn't stray too far from your home after the last 2 years spending time at Central Missouri, but what's it like to be competing back in Kansas?
I love it. I love the familiarity of it and just being around. I mean, I grew up in Kansas, so you see Wichita State fans, and I never really thought I would be back here. I've really had only been to Wichita a couple of times, so it's really cool to be back in, my home state, playing for almost kind of a home crowd too. It's really awesome.
Go back to high school, Shawnee Mission Northwest. What was it like? Anything that stood out to you and what it was like competing for Shawnee Mission Northwest?
I loved competing for my high school. We had fantastic coaches all around every sports. My high school coach was Susan Speck. She was awesome. Obviously, high school is amazing because you get to play with your friends as well and the people that you see every day in front of your friends rather than, the club scene. But also, I mean, even our other coaches, like our weights coaches and even like our football coaches, my little brother plays football and funny enough is actually going to Central Missouri where I started at. And I still to this day am in contact with a lot of his coaches because they helped me throughout my career and honestly become the athlete that I am.
Getting to state at Shawnee Mission Northwest, what was that feeling like?
I would say like state is probably some of my best memories from high school volleyball because it's really the first time kind of you're on a big stage like that. And high school volleyball is also, I would say, kind of the closest you can get to the college volleyball in the aspect of you're practicing with these girls every single day. You're playing games every single week. In club, it's, there's a tournament one weekend and you only have practice 3 times a week. So, being with those girls all the time and also going to school with them, finally, like being able to be on a big stage at a state tournament with them was fantastic, amazing. I like some of my best memories.
You mentioned Coach Speck. Anything that stands out of your time in high school that was really good advice or a technique that you learned in high school that has carried you forward to the success that you've had at the collegiate level?
Her mindset and competitive nature was really inspirational for me because I always found myself super competitive and outwardly competitive a lot, sometimes more than other athletes that I was around at the high school level. And she always encouraged me to that was important and that's going to stand out in the college level. So anytime I ever am kind of feeling like I'm losing my mental state of competitiveness, I always kind of think back to her and I hear her voice in the back of my head.
Fast forward a few years, like we mentioned, it's a couple of years at Central Missouri, now back at Wichita State University. You mentioned the excitement of being back and playing in your home state, but what else went into that recruitment on why you chose Wichita State?
I am super family oriented and really like to be around my family a lot. So I knew I wanted, and they put so much effort into, high school volleyball, club volleyball, all of this throughout my upbringing. And so I kind of wanted to share my success almost with my family. I wanted them to be able to, on a weekend drive down, come watch me play. And I still also want to go, I still want to go watch my brother's high school games and now college games. So kind of staying close was really important to me for the family aspect.
Now, I know the season hasn't gotten started yet officially, but have you had, you can even go back to Central Missouri or even in practice here at Wichita State. What have you had any like welcome to collegiate volleyball moments? Like maybe even your freshman year, did you have any moments like, whoa, this is a different level?
Yes. I would say it was most amplified when coming to Wichita because it's just such a faster paced game and so complex. And like, of course, UCM in Division II was, it's a lot more work. It's a lot more of a grind than high school volleyball ever was just because of the level. But at Wichita, it was just a whole step up. I don't necessarily can't say there was an exact moment. It was kind of just all of it together was kind of, it was a bit of a, whoa, like, all right, here we are. Let's do this.
You still keep up with the Cougars?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm not as on top of it anymore, but I kept up a little bit because my brother was still in high school, so it was a lot easier when he is. But I think I'll probably start falling off a little bit on my Northwest knowledge. But
fair enough. Elinor, appreciate the time. Best of luck this season.
Thank you so much.
That is Elinor Engel with Wichita State Volleyball out of Shawnee, Kansas, from Shawnee Mission Northwest High School, and that is Next Level Talents on Kansas Sports Chatter. Are you a person that's always on the go? You can still easily keep up with Kansas Sports Chatter with the audio podcast. Hear each episode on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Make sure to follow the Kansas Sports Chatter podcast. That's going to do it for our first show. Thanks to all of our guests. Really do appreciate your time. We want to make this show as interactive as possible. Reach out on social media. Tell me what you think about the show. Also, make sure you subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. New shows come out Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks for joining the chatter, everybody.